Okay, before we begin, I'll read a land acknowledgement. As an organization that strives to embrace fully the ideals of a just and equitable society, we at YSC humbly acknowledge the Indigenous peoples and nations, including Mohegan, Mashantucket Pequot, Eastern Pequot, Schaghticoke, Golden Hill Paugussett, Niantic, and the Quinnipiac and other Algonquin-speaking peoples who have stewarded through generations the lands and waterways of what is now the state of Connecticut. We honor and respect the enduring relationship that exists between these peoples and nations and this land. Welcome everyone, my name is Alec Bernal. I am a 2021 graduate of Yale College and the Woodbridge Fellow in the Schwarzman Center. And I'm really excited to welcome you to our Arts and You Table Talks. I'll be co-hosting this table talk with Jennifer. Jennifer, would you care to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Alex. Jennifer Harrison-Newman, Associate Artistic Director at the Yale Schwarzman Center. Thank you so much for coming today. We're excited to share with you a little bit about what's been going on and to hear from you as well.
Today, we'll walk you through what exactly the Schwarzman Center is, what the building looks like if you haven't seen it already, and the types of programming you can expect moving forward. And then we'll turn it back to you for a Q&A, which I'll moderate, and Jennifer and I can answer questions. So a little backstory is important. Just over 7 years ago, in September 2014, a partnership between the 3 student governments on campus, the Yale College Council, the Graduate and Professional Student Senate, and the Graduate Student Assembly resulted in a report calling for a large, centrally located, and campus-wide student center accessible to all undergraduate, graduate, professional students at Yale. In May 2015, the possibility of a student center became a reality with a $150 million donation from alumnus Stephen Schwarzman. An advisory committee was put together shortly thereafter, and in the fall of 2017, my first year at Yale, the site was closed for renovation. After several long years, the center opened this month in September 2021, welcoming students, staff, and faculty at Yale. Our mission, vision, and values are our answer to that call from 7 years ago, and it inspires the relationships we forge, the programmings we plan, the people we engage with, and every other aspect of our work, whether it's online, at the center, or at another venue.
Yeah, and just tagging on from that mission, vision, and values, we've been under construction. The Schwarzman Center has been under construction for the last 5 years. And like many others, most of our activities have had to move online, as we respond to the global pandemic. This has meant that we have not inhabited the space just yet in terms from a programmatic space. Yes, you can now come in for dining, but we're taking baby steps as we get to using the spaces in a more fully fleshed out way. So online, at the center, and at other venues is sort of how we're able to look at our programming. And one example is a program that's being developed with a Yale College alum, Jay Joseph, and a New Havenite, and another New Havenite, Steve Roberts. They are working on finding a line New Haven and developing a skate park at Scantlebury Park in New Haven. And you'll learn and hear more about that later. That's just an example of sort of how we're having to move around and be flexible. But as we, before we go into like you guys getting a chance to really get to hear more about our programs from many of our stakeholders, I just wanted to go through this kind of like, what are the spaces at Schwarzman Center? And so the Commons is the one now that you can go into and have lunch Monday through Friday. So, you can do that. And then we also have a dome room, which is a new space that has got a beautiful new sprung dance floor, 360 immersive performance space eventually when we're able to have performances on campus. The President's Room, you'll also learn more about. It's been fully restored to its original luster, and it's a place for conferences and meetings. Then we have the Underground, which is going to be a performance space for all kinds of student-led activities, and even some guest artists will be there eventually. The Underground, also has a dining platform as well. Next to that is the Well, which is our 21 and over space, which is fabulous, and I can't wait for people to be able to go there. The Dance Rehearsal Studio is a great response to the overwhelming need for dance on campus. It is currently being used for a COVID testing site, obviously responding to the needs of the campus community, and eventually will be used for dance rehearsals, classes, and likewise. So, and we also have new exhibition spaces around the building as well. And as we start to be able to hang new works, we will be doing that. So before we go into, now you'll get to see some details, and we'll go ahead and hear from Lori Gomez, who is our communications specialist and a Yale College student. So why don't we go ahead and hear from Lori?
Welcome to Yale Schwarzman Center off of Prospect and Grove Street on the beautiful Yale University campus in New Haven, Connecticut. We're here on Hewitt Quadrangle, commonly known as the Beinecke Plaza, to share with you not only a brand new facility, but a grand staircase that leads into the center. Right this way. Our first stop is this beautiful new dance studio directly beneath Beinecke Plaza. This answers the desire for more space for dance at Yale. So now, after an invigorating dance class or rehearsal, dancers can walk right across the hall to grab a refreshing drink in our new convenience store, the Bow Wow. The underground is our signature space for casual dining and entertainment. Its design is contemporary, open, and flexible. And on the menu are 2 dining platforms, Elm and Ivy. The room is surrounded by 4 cozy ingle nooks with working fireplaces that are great places to meet with old friends and new faces, and enjoy a performance on Schwarzman Center's only proscenium stage. It's a great space for spoken word, stand-up, a cappella, and other performances. There's also a drop-down screen for sports and live casts. The Well is a great place for graduate and professional students, or anyone 21 and over, to enjoy friends and good conversation, encircled by the building's original granite foundation. There's comfortable seating and a curved bar built for accessibility. Welcome to Commons. Built in 1901 and reborn in 2021, Commons is back and better than ever, with lunch service 5 days a week for undergraduates, graduates, professional students, and hungry passersby. You'll be able to experience the freshest ingredients through a variety of cuisines in our expanded servery. In addition to the improved food service, with enhanced technical systems, Commons is a place where we will gather to experience the arts and community in new ways year-round. The Annex is a new addition on the Grove Street side of Commons, where you can find one of several alcoves to tuck into where you can study or socialize. You can drop by and see us at the Schwarzman Center offices on the mezzanine level, or find yourself in the Good Life Center. We are so thrilled that the Good Life Center is here at Yale Schwarzman Center, where it is accessible to undergraduate and graduate students alike. The Good Life Center isn't the only place where graduate and professional students can experience the good life at Yale Schwarzman Center. The west balcony of Commons is a dedicated graduate and professional student lounge with one of the best views of Commons. The President's Room has historically been designated for formal dinners and events on Yale's campus, and those traditions will continue. The space has been renovated with enhanced AV and lighting systems while turning back the clock on architectural details, including features like these beautiful pilasters and sconces, which bring the room back to its original 1901 design. The room that once served as the Yale Banner Yearbook office has been transformed into a spectacular space for performances and events. It now features theatrical lighting, a sprung floor for dance, and technical infrastructure for projections, videography, and more. The Dome is Yale's new destination for boundary-pushing performances, presentations, or just dancing the night away.
Hey, Lori, where did you want this?
Did you bring a ladder?
Wonderful. So now that Lori has shown you through the Schwarzman Center, I'd like to open a couple polls for the audience so we can gauge some responses. So if we can get the first poll up. So the first one is, have you visited the Schwarzman Center, whether you've wandered through the halls, whether you've eaten in commons, or whether you've maybe walked through the rotunda on your way to some other place? Okay, so we've got a fresh audience. So you've got a lot to learn. Wonderful. I think more importantly, did you know that the Schwarzman Center was open to you? Did you know that it was more than just dining, more than just commons? Okay, so we're split. Some people thought it was just for dining, some people thought it was for programming. Wonderful. So we've got some surprises in store for you then. As you've seen during the tour, the Good Life Center has moved into Schwarzman Center away from Silliman College. And through evidence-backed programming on mindfulness, on gratitude, on social connection, exercise, sleep, acts of kindness, time in nature, play, and time affluence, the Good Life Center will be able to serve so many more people as it transitions out of Silliman College. This is an incredibly exciting new venture that aligns perfectly with our values of collaboration, wellness, and belonging. So here is Good Life Center Woodbridge Fellow Alexa Vaganas with more.
Hi there. My name is Alexa Vaganas. I use she, her pronouns. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Good Life Center and our new space at Schwarzman. So it would be useful for me to start with a brief history of the Good Life Center. It all started when psychology professor Dr. Lori Santos, whom you'll see right here on this slide, created a course called Psychology and the Good Life. And this course explored all the evidence-based practices that help us feel happier. These are backed by science, backed by the field of positive psychology. And it turns out that students were really interested in hearing more. This course, I believe, is the most popular class that Yale has had in its history. And a fourth of all undergraduates enrolled at one time. So they actually needed to host the course in Woolsey Hall, which is a space where we typically have the first year assembly, commencement if it rains. You get the idea. There was a lot of interest in thinking about well-being, what the science says, and as a result, the Good Life Center was created as a space for students to put these evidence-based tools into practice. I think beyond this, the Good Life Center also it acts as a symbol for the importance of thinking about self-care, both at Yale and after Yale. So our original Good Life Center spaces are located at Silliman College. And while these spaces will remain open for casual student use and the occasional programming, we are so excited to be moving our main programs and our main space to the Schwarzman Center. We are scheduled to open October 4th as of now, but please keep an eye out in our newsletters and on our website if that changes. But we're so grateful to be collaborating with the team at Schwarzman and grateful to have this space. It makes a lot of sense given our shared values. Given the YSC vision to be a center for student life, it's really impossible to think about student life without also thinking about student well-being. That's really at the core of what that term means, at least to me. We're also excited to be located at a center for the arts, because I think within the work that we do, we really try to give students permission to slow down and to reconnect with their humanness. So maybe that means attending one of our events, or maybe it means doing nothing, actually being a human being rather than, running from this thing to that thing and constantly doing something. Maybe it looks like resting, it looks like play, or students expressing themselves through doodling or playing the ukulele in one of our spaces. And I think the arts have and always will be an outlet for reconnecting with our humanness, for expressing our emotions and building empathy. So yeah, we're very excited to be here. We see a lot of alignment between both of our missions. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Alec Faganas, and you can email me at this address if you have anything else you'd like to ask or to talk about. Thanks so much.
Even before the official opening this September, we've had a number of programming opportunities already underway. The Good Life Center isn't the only program at YSC focused on health and wellness. Our ongoing collaboration with the Yale School of Public Health allows us to blend their research with our focus on events to promote art as a vehicle for health. Here's our Arts and Public Health Fellow and 2019 graduate of the School of Public Health, Taiga Christie, with more.
Hi, my name is Taiga. I am an Arts and Public Health Fellow with the Schwarzman Center and the Yale School of Public Health. I hold a joint fellowship focused on arts and wellness, working on enhancing the Schwarzman Center's relationship to the public health school and vice versa, bringing in events and artists from around the country, virtually and eventually in person, to the Schwarzman Center to highlight arts and wellness, arts and health, and innovative work happening at that intersection, and bringing new curriculum and research and inspiration on the curricular research side to the School of Public Health. The Schwarzman Center and the Public Health School have a really innovative partnership this way, in that they are using the power of the curricular work happening at YSPH and the public-facing performance work focused on the entire Yale and New Haven community happening at the Schwarzman Center to build this base, and also to build an evidence base for the arts as a public health tool and a tool to build community resilience. So far, we've hosted several virtual events, a few in person back in the day, and building towards more coming forward. So we've done things like screenings of plays related to medical ethics, conversations about health and human rights issues internationally that are being highlighted through film and other creative mediums. And coming up, we'll be hosting an artist residency and touring performance in May of 2022, focused on climate justice, climate change communication, and the health impacts on communities, and paired with a student-led, co-created original performance working with local New Haven artists and Yale students. So keep that on your radar for May of 2022, and hope to see you at virtual events in the meantime.
Another program that we have embarked on over the last year is called Sessions. And Sessions, you'll hear more about from our inaugural Sessions Fellow, graduate student John Paul La Pena, current PhD student. And he'll tell you a little more about it in the clip. Sessions is meant to bring people together over food, right? So community, dining, these are all, things that are sort of replicated for us throughout. And we have been only doing these online, where we've been, offering grub hubs to our participants. And then we hope to get to the point where we can do them in person. In person, it would be 12 people around an hour-long lunch, around a table, sharing food and conversation. And the conversations are proposed by someone, and then others will sign up. And you'll hear more about that now. And these are interdisciplinary conversations. And the members, those that are showing up, those 12 people, are part of 5 categories: an undergraduate student, a graduate student, staff, and mixes in between there. So let's go ahead and listen to John Paul talk about Sessions in the next clip.
Hello, my name is John Paul La Pena, and I am a Yale Schwarzman Center Fellow, currently serving as manager and curator of the Sessions Initiative, which facilitates and fosters meaningful relationships through conversations over a meal. These casual 60-minute gatherings act as bridges, bringing together communities from different backgrounds and disciplines from within Yale and beyond. Each gathering includes up to 12 discussants called sessionists, and because sessions is interdisciplinary and encourages exchanges of ideas, each conversation must include at least one participant from 3 of 5 affiliations, including an undergrad, graduate or professional student, a community member, Yale faculty, and Yale staff. Sessions will take place in the underground, a dining venue inside the YSC building, but due to public health guidance, all sessions to date have taken place on Zoom, so YSC has provided Grubhub coupons to subsidize meals. To date, YSC has hosted 4 sessions on various important topics, and we look forward to doing more. Thank you.
Another really cool program going on at YSC is Beyond the Studio. Beyond the Studio is designed to bring Yale community members into dialogue with contemporary creators whose artwork transcends several fields. This year, the focus is a little bit more specific, and we'll see that more in the next slide from our Innovation Fellow. But in this clip, we have a clip from a workshop from some time ago from Queens-based artist Devin Kenny, who was a featured guest in a workshop where he walked through his MoMA PS1 exhibit and an experimental augmented reality music experience called Other Words. So here's the teaser.
You can lose me as a friend and not gain me as an enemy. I still wanna see you leave, but you ain't gonna take a seat with me. I'm living in a life of sin, but still I'm missing all our synergy. You can lose me as a friend and not gain me as an enemy.
Hub and Spoke is another program that we have been working on over the last 18 to 20 months. And the point of Hub and Spoke is to build a sustainable, collaborative, youth-led platform that breaks boundaries, basically breaking the boundaries of siloization. It is composed of a cohort, and cohort members will develop deliverables that communicate the Hub and Spoke Vision community-centered project, receive mentorship from New Haven community members, Yale Schwarzman Center, Sci-City, Urban Studies, and Yale's Center for Collaborative Arts and Media's CCAM. There is a new cohort being developed right now. So if you're interested in Hub and Spoke, you can apply to it online at the website that's listed here by October 4th. And right now, we're going to listen to the developer of both Beyond the Studio and Hub and Spoke, Yale art alum from class of 20, Yiken Zhu, who is also the Yale Schwarzman Center and Sci-City Innovation Fellow.
Hi everyone, my name is Yiken Zhu and I'm the Innovation Fellow at Sci-City and Yale Schwarzman Center. Two of the programming I'm running are Hub and Spoke and Beyond the Studio. For Hub and Spoke, participants helped to define and realize Hub and Spoke as a space where the New Haven Yale community can collaborate and where ideas of community involvement are discussed and taken to action. The aim is to build a sustainable, collaborative, youth-led platform that dissolves the town and gown divide. This cohort will be responsible for developing deliverables that articulate the vision of Hub and Spoke, completing research for a community-centered project, and presenting this project to stakeholders through an exhibition. There will be in-person meetings and visits to New Haven organizations, and participants will have mentorship and advising from leaders in the departments involved and New Haven community partners. There's a small budget to use in New Haven for exhibitions, for workshops, etc., to be determined by the cohort. And the application is due September 17th, and the program runs from October 18th to November 29th. The other program is Beyond the Studio. This is a 2-day workshop on the topic healing spaces. With the growing need for more therapeutic, spiritual, wellness, and restorative justice spaces, where do we begin to find our way in personal and collective healing? So in this workshop, we will look deeply into our own creative practices and disciplines to identify core values, explore ways to tell our stories, and strategize career paths that honor our whole selves. A guest healer and artist will guide our healing and artistic discussion, and a guest art advisor will lead a workshop on storytelling and navigating creative career paths. The deadline for application to the workshop is October 12th, and the workshop is October 15th and 16th from 2 to 5 p.m. Registration is limited and all disciplines are welcome. So please apply as soon as you can. Thank you very much.
Great. And another program that I alluded to earlier in the conversation today was Finding a Line New Haven. And this is a local branch of a growing nationwide initiative that cultivates collaborations between skaters and non-skaters to inspire social change. So Jay Joseph, Yale College class of 19, and Stephen Roberts, who are both New Havenites, have led this development of the open skate park in the Scantlebury Park here in New Haven. And right now you're going to hear from Dr. Nathalie Williams, who is our scholar in residence at the Schwarzman Center, who is also working with Jay and Steve in the realm of skating and social justice. So let's hear from Nathalie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Nathalie Williams, and I'm delighted to be one of the first to greet you from the Yale Schwarzman Center. I look forward to seeing all of you in person in the future. My position at the Yale Schwarzman Center is visiting scholar for race, culture, and community. My research focus has been really looking at the intersection of racial politics, action sports like skateboarding, along with music, media, technology, all just to discover new ways for all of us to build more equitable, sustainable, and really healthy communities through academic scholarship and on-the-ground events that really discuss what creates positive change around the world. Now, as part of my role at the Yale Schwarzman Center, I'll be drawing from your own interests, and I'll be taking a little bit of guidance from my work and experiences working as a U.S. envoy for the State Department, using skateboarding as a tool for cultural diplomacy. As you see a little bit in this photo that's behind me, that is actually from a mission where I was in Cambodia, working with the youth there to reimagine where skateboarding might sit in their lives, and also with the Minister of Education and Sport. It was particularly important as now we've moved on to skateboarding and being in the Olympics. Now, I'll also draw from my work with the Tony Hawk Foundation and the Skate Park Project to really help guide my work at the Yale Schwarzman Center and to reimagine what it is to have new spaces for learning. Some of that could be right here in the Yale Schwarzman Center itself or on the streets in New Haven. Some of it could just be understanding how skateboarding and skateboarding culture act as an incubator for new ideas. And those new ideas really merge community, academic interests with those of racial and social justice. And really, how can we create more space for the fight for LGBTQ rights and an inclusive practice which makes everyone want to be a part of the academic format? I'm excited to touch base with you all, and I will see you in the future. Thank you.
So yes, Nathalie is the coolest person that I've ever met. And despite all of these really interesting and amazing people and all of these exciting programs, we still haven't found a way to defeat time at the Schwarzman Center. It still moves linearly. And you can see this in purple in this graph. For any given event, there is a before, during, and an after. But the way we think about and interact with these programs doesn't have to be linear. It can be, and it often is, a process, as seen in blue and green. For the planners and artists, it certainly is a process, but sometimes it isn't the case for attendees. So think back to the last time you visited a museum or a play or a concert or some sort of artistic performance. Chances are you went in with your timed entry museum ticket, or maybe you took your seat at the theater and spent 90 minutes or so enjoying the experience in the moment. If you were really into the exhibit or performance, maybe you did a little bit of background research too. And if you went with friends, maybe you debriefed with your thoughts and feelings on the program afterwards. but did you get a chance to hear from the artists about their thinking prior to the show? Did you get to share with them your thoughts after your viewing? We don't want the show to begin when the curtain goes up, and we don't want the show to end when the curtain goes down. We want you there before, during, and after performances and exhibits. We want performers to socialize with guests in their research phase. We want artists to actualize these visions and conversations in their projects. And we want to reflect on this process and pedagogy for days, weeks, and months after the screen fades to black.
Yeah, adding on to that, there's not a lot to add on to what Alec said, but it's because it's so great. But unlike a traditional performing arts center where you would show up to see the one show that's in for that night, and then the next night it's somebody else, we here at the Schwarzman Center are really interested in working with artists over a long period of time. So often many of the artists that we will be bringing in onto campus and into the center are those that are really interested in long-time engagement and developing their ideas through research on campus in New Haven, through interaction with students, faculty, and staff, and that their work is actually impacted by what they do when they're here in New Haven. So, we'll be working with, could be a year or 2 years oftentimes. And then there'll be chances to sit with them. They'll come to classes. There'll be chances to do workshops, and then the chance to sit and have a meal with them. And then afterward, what is the programming that is inspired by that visit and that time with that artist that then it develops and keeps morphing and it becomes something else? I mean, that's also really interesting to us, is that there will be work that is inspired by that time and that it just doesn't end once the artist leaves. You've seen a lot today about what has been student generated and student led and student focused. And we're really excited about bringing the artists to campus when we can do that safely. So I think we're now moving on to hearing from you all. So perhaps we've got some prompts to sort of get your minds thinking about and getting you ready for a Q&A. So let's just take a look on the prompts. What sorts of programming opportunities would you like to see at YSC? And how do you see your extracurricular organizations, experiences, passions being used here at the center or being a part of the center? You've heard a lot about work that's being made by our fellows. You've heard a little bit from me about artists that we'll be working with, but the center is actually made up of those that will use the center, and that's you. So please, at this moment, feel free to just sort of put your dreams, put your questions, put your ideas and your thoughts into the Q&A, and Alec will go ahead and moderate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like Jennifer mentioned, feel free to answer these questions, share with us your thoughts, your visions for the center, and ask us any questions. We're happy to help answer them. We do have one from earlier during the presentation, so thank you for asking this. Someone asked, is Hub and Spoke open to Yale staff? That's a good question. I wasn't sure until I actually looked through our language again in the application itself. In the application, it asks, what is your occupation, undergraduate student, graduate student, or full-time entrepreneur or other working professional. So that to me indicates that, yeah, we do actually take full-time working professionals. So if you are interested in applying, I'm going to drop the link as an answer, and I encourage you to check it out, read more, and apply to this fall cohort. I think it'll be really exciting.
That's a great question. Yeah, thank you for that. Something else I'll add in that, we've talked about sessions. Sessions will be launched officially for in-person sessions, and we will continue the online portion. Even though we were sort of forced to go online earlier than expected, we will continue to do that. But our hope is to get the sessions in person, and we'll be launching that very soon. So please do keep your eyes peeled onto our website for that launch, which I expect to happen sometime in the weeks to come.
And Jennifer, one question we get is are sessions allowed to be pitched by anyone or just by undergrads, by graduate students?
Sessions can be certainly be pitched by anyone. So the 5 sort of like stakeholder groups that we mentioned in this talk: undergraduate, graduate, faculty, staff, or a community member. Absolutely, anyone can pitch. And John Paul will be working to curate those. So, or maybe there are some pitches that, proposals, I should say, that come across that are very similar. So we will start to look through those proposals and start to have conversations with those proposers about, the actual fully development of the session.
Wonderful. We've got one question here, a little bit of a deep cut into the Schwarzman Center website. Last year, there were a couple of opportunities to respond to prompts through your website. Could you talk about the kinds of prompts or projects that might be available this year?
Oh gosh. So Storyboard is really exciting because it's an interactive space on our website. So if you have a chance, please do look at the Storyboard portion of our website to see the previous work that we've done through. We've done sort of a gallery space where we've sent a prompt out to makers, from across disciplines, sort of especially like responding to after a year of being sent home, in this year of sort of isolation and social distancing, we had makers sort of share out what kind of work they had been making. There were films, there were spoken word, there was visual art, there was interactive media. And so we really started to create a community of makers and sort of talk about how people had been responding, how their work had changed. Another project that we had done was an interactive classical music work called The Wandering, which was actually a VR experience where we received packages in the mail and interacted with the makers through a sort of film that also had us participate and mail things back. And then in the future, we'll be continuing to propose topics out through Storyboard, and then bringing makers together to co-create things together on the website. So please do look at Storyboard and do keep your eye out for like future prompts. Another thing I wanted to say is that we have talked about our spaces today, but we didn't really talk about how one could book them. So if you look at the website under spaces, you will see that there is a link to requesting space. Now, as we are slowly opening up, as health and safety allows, those spaces will become more and more spaces will come online. So right now there are a few spaces that are online, and you can put in a space request into that link. Carlin Robinson is our new exhibitions and booking manager. So she will be the person you'll be contacting with.
Yeah, that's plenty. For that question, I will throw in the links to replay. And obviously we didn't get to cover all of the programs that we have available at the Schwarzman Center or that have taken place over the last several months online. But I will send another one in the chat called Off the Grid Virtual Gallery, which I think is a really beautiful space. It's several collections of art, of poetry, of video by various members of the Yale community, with sort of the understanding that we're all in this virtual space, and it's sort of a moment to reflect on that. It's really a beautiful gallery, and I encourage you to check it out. Jennifer, one question we got in an earlier session was about family programming, in particular for graduate students, professional students.
Yeah,
can we talk about that?
Absolutely. So again, because we have opened up under particular guidelines, we haven't been able to do fully create events where we can invite our community members to. But eventually we will, and family planning, family events and programming is certainly something that we are very much interested in and will be doing. And that's everything from theater, programming, music, dance, circus. We're keeping in mind for families as well.
If there are no more questions, we can absolutely close out the session and move on to our next slide. So thank you to everyone for joining. If you're interested in learning more about the Schwarzman Center, if this presentation has excited you, as we hope it has, you can take a look at the schwarzman.yale.edu, our website, or scan the QR code, which will take you directly to it. We have a handful of upcoming tours over the next several Saturdays, which you can sign up for, snag the last couple of spots. And we hope this is the first or maybe the second of many engagements with the Schwarzman Center, and we hope to see you soon in person.